Hello there, one and all, and thank you very much for tuning in to episode 523 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise. We have made it to the final broadcast of the year, the one in which I'm going to present my top 10 perfumes of 2024, but we need to start in the usual way, and the top comment has already escaped me. What have we got? First comment went to Alex. Hello, Alex, who said, "Hello, everyone, and greetings from Graz. My personal favourite this year is Noël au Balcon by Etat Libre. Not new, but it was new to me. And bear that one in mind, because there is one on my list that is also, strictly speaking, not all brand new and didn't come out this year, but it was new to me. Perfumed by the Sea is here as well, saying afternoon scent of the day is Hera by Papillon and burning a Santal 26 Le Labo candle. Alex, you do need to try Santal 33. Dry Martini says warm greetings from Berlin. Oriana says hello everyone, lots and lots of you tuning in. Hello from Bucharest, says Joanna, I'm glad I made it to the live. Esumar says not first, you're very welcome though, from Singapore. Ryan is wearing Akro's Haze. Ula says, hi everyone, so excited for this one. Scent of the day is Timbuktu, which I don't recommend wearing when hungover. Okay, interesting. Get better soon. Audio and video quality is still excellent, says Thomas. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased. Sardonic is here as well, saying good morning. Spencer is here too. Eric says hello from Paris. Eric, I've lost your comment. Hello from Paris. All packing as I watch. I went to Perfumer H today. Very lovely. Ah, good. Eco Jock is here too. Gender Goblin is here as well, saying hello. Dushan says greetings. Lots and lots of you tuning in. I promise I will look at all of those other comments in due course. Man in the Iron Mask vibes with that killer shirt, says Jeff. Oh, is that a good thing or not? Okay, so what we're going to do is go through our list of the top 10 perfumes of 2024. There will be a Substack article, as there is always a bit of prose that goes with the top 10 list. There will be a Substack article that will go live at the top of the next hour, so 6 p.m. in the UK, but of course if you're watching the recording, then I'm sure that the Substack has gone live by then, by now, by whenever you're watching it. There is a link to the Substack in the video description below. But it won't work for you at the moment. You're going to have to wait for this video to be over before that link works. I need to say though, before we start the rundown, a huge thank you to all of you. There are a few markers during the course of the year. You know, one of the sort of markers, one of the points is the anniversary of the setting up of Persolaise.com, and I never ever want to miss an opportunity like those markers to say thank you to all of you for the tremendous amount of support that you give me, the encouragement that you give me to keep going with this channel, all of your witticisms, all of the fascinating, amazing, brilliant insights you have into the perfumes that we talk about, and you point me in the direction of brands that I'm not always aware of. So thank you, whether you're exclusively a YouTube watcher, or you read the blog, or you read the Substack, and whether you've supported me on the Substack or not. Huge thanks to each and every single one of you. It isn't always the easiest thing in the world to carry on with all of this stuff and juggle all of the demands of social media and the YouTube, but it's absolutely worth it because of you. And I have said this before, and I will say it again and again and again. You are the best viewers and readers that anybody could possibly hope for. So thank you very much indeed. The other thing I would like to say is that I'm very interested to find out what some of your favourite perfumes of the year are. Now, I never pretend to have smelt every single perfume that's been released in any given year. I used to say that my name isn't Michael Edwards, but I actually don't think that Michael Edwards could do it either. By the way, I'm seeing lots and lots of thank yous to me. I'm not ignoring them. Thank you very much. Alex says we have to say thank you. We appreciate you so much too, says Spencer. Oh, Maciek says the video should have a proper award name like the Perso Oscars for... Oh, we should come up with something. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll come up with something for next year. So, like I was saying, I don't think even Michael Edwards can keep up with all of them. Brooke Belden, behind the founder of Saint Cellier, the UK-based online retailer, recently put up a very, very interesting post on her Instagram where she was talking about the number of releases, and I think this has been, for better or worse, probably for worse, a record year for perfume releases. We used to say that it was sort of round about the 2,000 mark per year. I think we've gone well beyond that, and I don't think in this case larger numbers are particularly a good thing. But I have tried to smell as many things as possible. The list is based on perfumes that were new to me. Mind you, having said that, 9 of them are 2024 releases and 1 of them is a 2023 release, so they are still pretty brand new. They don't really have a kind of common thread. I look at commonalities and things like that over in the Substack article, because I'm not particularly looking for a common thread. I just want them to be good perfumes that can stand up in their own right and that have got something interesting to say, either technically or in terms of the concept that they were inspired by, or whatever. Interestingly, very, very large number of female perfumers on this list. I mean, I don't particularly think about whether the perfumers are male or female, but when I went through the list, I thought, gosh, I'm not sure there are always quite so many women on the list. And it wasn't an easy list to put together, but also maybe not as difficult as some of the lists have been in the past, and I talk a little bit about why that may have been in the Substack article. And also what you will get in the Substack is a list of the perfumes that nearly made it, the ones where I thought, do they deserve a place here or not? But in the end they didn't make the final cut, because I've tried to be very, very, very strict. I've kept to a top 10 every single year, and so a top 10 it must be. So having said all of that, I think we need to make a start. Keep the comments coming, keep the questions coming. What's Power Connection saying? Oh, that you found a vintage L'Heure Bleue, and then your comment vanished off the top of my screen. Yo-Yo Anna says, I was very surprised by a release from a local Romanian brand, Matka Metanoia, a beautiful balsamic osmanthus, all natural ingredients. Some others are Chyprelia, Tilia and Barrois. Oh, sorry, as in, I thought they were from the same brand. Tilia from Marc-Antoine Barrois, Barrois from Hermes, and Chyprelia, I'm guessing, from Puente. Maybe some of them will be on the list, I'm not sure. Blue Dirty says, I don't have a favourite release of the year, but my favourite discoveries were Iris Perle, Jardin en Méditerranée, let's try saying that with a dodgy French accent, and Grey Mist from Pinewood. Okay. Kurkdjian says, I haven't had too many from 2024, but Per Se from 2787 would be very close to the top. Interesting. I thought that was an interesting release, actually. Beautiful Wong Kar-wai shirts today, says Gichunk. Yeah, okay, yeah, I suppose it is a bit Wong Kar-wai. You're not wrong, you're not wrong. Okay, we need to start. We need to start. No, we've got blotters. We haven't got pre-sprayed blotters because it's not that kind of video. And I haven't even decided on an order in which to do this. Okay, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Drum roll, virtual drum roll from somewhere. Let us start. Oh, I know what I needed to do. I just needed to do one more bit of prep to make sure that this goes well. Where are we? Here we go. If I just pop that there, that will help me. Okay, we're ready. Right. These are also not in any particular order, okay? So this isn't a kind of ascending, going up to the best. Let's play fragrance bingo now. Yes, by all means. Come on, let's get some predictions. We are going to start off with something from Monsieur Olivier Crespe for his own brand, Akro. This is this year's best release from him, I think, called Infuse. Right, let us have a spray. Oh, let's make the awards the poppers. That sounds slightly dodgy, I think. Vaguely inappropriate. Okay, and we're off. Let's have a smell. Wonderfully, deliciously bizarre and strange. How many of you have managed to try this one? Musk in Heaven says, nice, I really enjoyed Infuse. And Marco says, I just got Smoke based on your review. Now, Smoke is still my favourite Akro. PT Weirdness, says Gavin. Yes, absolutely right. Now, it's been an interesting year for Akro. They seem to have gone into a sort of pattern as a brand of, in any given year, giving us a sort of slightly out there, interesting, strange one, and then a more commercial one. The one that was more overtly commercial that they did this year, I think it was called Smile. Is that right? I actually thought was very nicely done, because Cresp certainly knows how to make things that are interesting and intelligent and accessible at the same time. Oh, Gavin says some Akro fragrances are reduced at Harrods. I got dark. Ah, interesting. Infuse is the sort of slightly oddball one, and I know that marketing people, PRs cringe and kind of die a slow, quiet death when somebody describes a perfume as being a little bit strange. But I think that I mean it as the highest of compliments. Usually, in this case, I do, and I know that a lot of you feel the same way. And I just think it's wonderful that Olivier Cresp, at this stage in his career, working for his own brand, where you would have thought that, he would kind of want to work extra hard to make things that would sell, allows himself to create something as unusual and brave and bold as this. Now, Infuse makes you think that it's a tea scent, and yes, in some ways it is a tea scent, but it's not your kind of bog standard PG Tips in a pyramid bag. This takes the PT slightly fungal, green, metallic personality of a tea like oolong, and just goes to town with it. When you're wearing it, it feels like you're wearing a sort of cross between a tea and a leather. The two sides of the spectrum kind of being bridged by something that could be a very indolic floral note, but it might not be. So it could be a kind of indolic jasmine, but you're not quite sure. It's fascinating. It's otherworldly, and somehow it's also quite busy. You get a little bit fed up, I think, in perfumery with representations of the eastern part of the globe, or perfumes that have been inspired by eastern parts of the globe, striving for a kind of zen-like serenity. It's a sort of becoming too predictable, too facile a way of creating an olfactory representation of that part of the world. This is buzzing with excitement. This is hectic and noisy, and there's a lot going on here, and it's crowded. It's a scent that is sort of full of bodies and people and physicality, and I think that's why it works really well. So there we are. Now, what are you folks saying? Because I'm not ignoring comments today. I will read as many comments as I possibly can. The Per Se Awards, says EcoJog, Persolaise Scent Excellence Awards. Keep them coming. Musk in Heaven says, I didn't particularly like Smile East or the other new one they did, forgetting the name. I think it was Glow this year. Okay. Alex says, wasn't it Edmond Rudnitska who said that a good perfume must have something strange? He may well have said that, but he also said that a good perfume must start with a shock. It must kind of make you sit up and pay attention. And Infuse absolutely does that. Aria says, smelling my sample, there's something stimulating and jolting about this one, like a caffeine shot. That's a good description. I like that. Esumar giving us favourite discoveries of the year are Akro Bake, and I'm pretty sure that made it onto last year's list. I love Bake. Amouage Memoir Woman, Amouage Love Tuberose, and by Matthew Zink. Now, isn't that I haven't smelled that, but isn't that the one that's meant to be like this full-on incense composition? I really need to get my hands on that. I think that's done by Jan Vanier. Let me see if I can get a sample, and maybe it'll end up on the 2025 list. Vetty Boy says, I only tried Awake. The brand is so hard to find in Austria. That's a shame. Gavin says, this is more like Dual by Annick Goutal, but weirder. Good point. Smarks says, will the wallpaper change each week now? Thank you for noticing. Not each week. I had the other one up for longer than a week. But yes, we will every now and then do a few changes. Polish Cheap Car says, any Acros I've moved on. See, I never want to be without a bottle of smoke. I love smoke, and I really like ink as well. I really, really am fond of that one. David says, unfortunately, there is no Acro retailer in the Netherlands. That is a shame. That is a shame. Okay, keep those comments coming. Stephen says, it's been a joy discovering your channel and blog this year. Thank you very much. Your content has helped deepen a love and appreciation of perfume that for me was just emerging right at the beginning of the year. Very, very sweet of you to say. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so I think we move on. Let's do this one. I was taken with this one as soon as I smelt it. It is crazy expensive. We're not going to get into the subject of perfume price today because we'll try and keep things positive and let us keep smiling. This is pricey. It may be the most expensive thing on the list, actually. Yeah, I think just looking at these ones, I think it probably is. Anyway, this is by Delphine Gelk, so you know the brand. It's from Guerlain, and it's their Neroli Plein Sud, which was their addition to their expensive high-end La Matière range. I adore this stuff, and I wore it quite a lot over the summer. When it first emerged, somebody said to me, "Oh, it's just a kind of posh, expensive cologne," and I think that is sort of being a bit reductive and a bit unfair. Tina says, yes, this is so good, I had to get the 200 mils. So you were tempted and you caved, but I'm kind of glad you did. I don't even want to think how much the 200 mils cost. It's not a good year in perfume without a Guerlain, says Nina. Good point. Neroli Plein Sud makes me so happy, says my dear Aurora. Oh no, I was just thinking of Vespa, my dear. That's from Spaceballs, isn't it? Not Aurora, Vespa. Sorry. My brain filled with tons and tons of utterly useless information. So, yes, this definitely has got a kind of cologne thing happening. But there is so much more than a kind of simple, simplistic citrus herbal cologne. There is a honey note. There is a beautiful spiciness that runs through the whole thing. You know, is it cinnamon? Is it cardamom? But I think the thing that I love about it so much is that somehow Gelk has managed to convey a sense of movement. It's a very, very, very kinetic scent, and that ties in with this idea of travel and of moving to the south. It really does feel as though you are moving towards the sun, you are moving towards heat in this scent. I've always adored the combination of cinnamon and orange blossom, says Aria, this achieves its purpose really well. Jeff says, was hoping for Vetiver Parfum, but I guess it wouldn't qualify as new. I would have counted it, but it didn't make the top 10, but you may want to check out the Substack. I really, really like what she did with Vetiver for the Parfum as well. I preferred it to what she did with the Abbey Rouge Parfum, but then I'm not complaining because I absolutely adore what she did with Abbey Rouge last year with the Rouge Privé. It's really, really bright, beautifully luminous, really clean, really easy to wear, and yet so complex and deeply satisfying as well. You know, if you're geekily inclined, there is just so much to smell in it and so much to enjoy. And as I was saying in yesterday's video, if Guerlain continue to give us 1 or 2 really good releases every year, then I will be happy. I will not complain. I think that's pretty good going for a brand that is under so much pressure to create and to produce. Perfumed by the Sea says, new releases I've loved are Center Stage by Famine, Barenia from Hermes, and Lunatique by Liquide Imaginaire. But the scent that I've adored most is Sensuality by Pierre Guillaume, out for a few years. Ooh, I should check that one out. I don't know that one of his. Anas says, not a fan of her creations, unfortunately. I guess you mean Delphine Jelk. Heat beating off the propellers, flying over orange trees in Morocco, says Jeff. That is a spot-on, brilliant description, and I'm going to steal it. Oricero says, you're going to buy Abbey Rouge Privé. If it's still around. I mean, that was a limited edition, wasn't it? Is it still around somewhere? You'll probably be able to find it somewhere. Carl says, Parfum d'Empire did my favourite release this year. So is that the Un Bel Amour d'été, or was it an older one that you liked? Please let us know. The new Pêche Mirage by Guerlain is great too, says Misspelled Tomato, about to launch in 2025. Daniel says, such an uphill battle for both Jelk and Vassar. I would never have the guts to contribute to a brand that gave us Shalimar, L'Heure Bleue, Mitsuko, and so on. Really impressed by both. I think you and I are on the same page as far as that is concerned. I think we need to get a move on. Okay, let us do this one next. Or no, actually, let's do this one next. This is one of my favorite from one of my favorite newish brands. It's a brand that hasn't been around for a terribly long time, but it's just impressed me so much with everything that they do. I should say, I'm saying they, but it's mostly pretty much the efforts of the founder and its perfumer, who also very, very kindly gave up his time a little while ago and did an interview here. I am talking about Elian Puente of the self-named brand Puente, and the perfume of his from this year that I'm putting on the list is his Chyprelia. I was so impressed with this, so moved by it. It's such a moving piece of work. Let's have a spray and then have a chat about it. Now, I will say one thing, that Chyprelia, I believe, is going to be sort of presented as a kind of, sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not, limited edition type thing. So not exactly limited edition, but Elian will make it whenever he can edition. And I think it's currently available on the site. I remember when I last mentioned it, I just managed to get in there before they ran out of stock. So check it out. Now, I mean, it's just heavenly. I love this stuff. What I think is really just gorgeous about what Elian Puente does is that his scents are unashamedly retro-inflected. You can see that they are made by somebody who not only adores the older styles of perfumery, but is actually actively trying to copy them, to learn from them, and yet somehow, probably because he's very good at what he does and he's genuinely talented, somehow when you smell them you never feel like you are smelling something that was actually made in the 40s or the 50s. And I don't just mean because the notes haven't turned. He manages to take the old structures, he manages to use the older materials, or the older qualities, the qualities that were used in the past of these materials, and he gives them a sensibility and aesthetic that brings them right bang up to date. I'm not an expert in composition, the sort of finer details, or not an expert enough in the finer details of composition to know how he does that. Rachel, I've just seen your comment and I'm not jealous at all. Rachel says hello from a beach in Mexico. I hope it's freezing cold. No, I don't. I wish you nothing but the best, and thank you also very much for being such a loyal viewer and reader. He uses lots of natural jasmine, says Tom King. Interesting. They never feel, his compositions never feel like they're kind of weighed down. And I don't mean just literally weighed down by the materials, but also they don't feel weighed down by tradition and convention. They just feel like they've been made so easily and so with so much life and so much romance and so much joie de vivre. Chyprelia is in many ways a kind of classic Chypre, so it does make you think of things like Mitsuko. It does make you think of things like Femme de Rochas, but it's also its own beast, and I think the peachy quality is maybe more modern, maybe because it's a little bit more citrusy than it would have been in the past. It's just heavenly, it's just stunning. And I've really, really enjoyed wearing it. I also really liked his Gallivant from this year. I mean, absolutely a brand to watch, and I can't remember off the top of my head if he does a discovery set, but if he does, do check it out. As far as Chyprelia is concerned, I think you may need to check every now and then to see if it's going to be in stock. Perfumed by the Sea says, really need to try Puente due to your descriptions on the list. No, you really, really should. You really should. Polish Cheap Car says, oh, I really wouldn't bother with... Oh, you're still talking about Les Abstraits. Okay, sorry. Get back onto the track. Ralph says, House of Puente looks intriguing. We'll have to sample. Yes, you really, really should. How's the projection, says Power Connection. Absolutely how I would want it to be. Let's keep going. What should we do next? Oh, I really, really don't know. This is quite hard. Okay, let's do one. I genuinely don't know where to go. Okay, let's do this one. We're talking about limited editions, actually probably a good time to do this one because a lot of you will be really, really annoyed with me, I think, for doing this one, but it was absolutely one of my favourite scents of the year. So not only was this a limited edition, I mean, why this brand decided to do this one as a limited edition, I have no idea, and I hope that it somehow makes its way into a more mainstream release for the brand. Is a limited edition, and it was also available only in Paris. So not only did Hermes decide that they would do a limited run of it, they also made it a Paris-only exclusive, a Paris exclusive. It was released to coincide with a horse show jumping event, and it is called Paddock, composed, of course, by Christine Nagel, in-house perfumer at Hermes. Very, very talented and charming scent maker indeed. And I know that by including this, I'm going to irritate a lot of you because I appreciate and I realise that many people won't have had a chance to smell Paddock, but I do genuinely think it was one of the best of the year, and so I've got to include it. You probably can't see that very well. Should we just move these things along? Usual on-the-fly arrangements. Is that a little bit better? Yeah. My screen that shows me what you can see is tiny at the moment, so I've kind of got to judge it as well as I can. Okay. Constantine says, I got a bottle of it recently, and although I'm not fully blown away, I'm glad I have it in my collection. Okay. Jeff says, I still think it looks like a hand-drawn label sticker stuck on a recycled Rose Ikebana bottle. Well, maybe the artwork was hand-drawn. Now, I have never had very much to do with horses. In fact, I've probably never even been on a horse. So I don't know how accurate a representation this is of stables, but people who do know much, much more than I do about this subject have said that something about its kind of stewed beet, nutmeg, hay on the turn note, kind of sweaty physicality is just spot on. And so, according to people whose views I consulted, Christine Nagel has absolutely managed to convey the sense of, you know, the smell of the inside of stables, but she's also managed to make it wearable and intriguing and fascinating, and she's kind of given us a new twist on the leather genre, the twist being, yeah, this kind of fermented vegetalness. It's very, very strange. It's almost as strange as the Akro, and I think it's easily the strangest thing she's done for Hermes, and probably one of the boldest things she's ever done in her career. I remember years ago, another sort of slightly oddball one of hers that comes to mind was the Archive 69, or Archive 69 for Atelier d'Orange, which was like this icy, super sharp, super cold needle of aldehydes. It was, didn't quite know what to make of it, but I was intrigued by it. This is the exact opposite of cold, but it's equally strange, equally fascinating, and yes, completely and utterly wearable. And I should wear it more often. And if anybody in any shape or form connected to Hermes happens to watch this, please just release it more widely. Do it as some kind of, I don't know, 50ml small bottle thing, and send it at least to a few Hermes boutiques around the world, so that more people get a chance to try it. Really, really well done. Spencer says, weirdly enough, hay is one of my favourite notes. Interesting. Voska says, just joined. The video seems to be better quality, and more importantly, I'm not getting any sound glitches so far. Has there been an update? Yes. Don't jinx it. Please don't jinx it. But hopefully this new tech setup is going to keep working, and we will never ever have any gremlins ever again. Rachel says, yes, they should release it more widely. I think they really ought to. I think it's a shame that they haven't. So bitter I couldn't try Paddock, says Eric. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tamara says, I used to work with a lady who fed her horses every morning before coming to work. I could always smell her horses. I grew up around horses, so it was a comforting scent. Have you tried this? Because I want to know what you think if you have tried it. Okay, let's do one more, and then we'll be at the halfway mark. Trying to think which one to... Okay, let's do this one, because this is the sort of, in many ways, the exact opposite of strange. When I first heard about this brand, it's a brand new brand, it's their first scent, a UK-based brand, I did, I tried to keep an open mind with all scents, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. They're doing a perfume to go with a kind of bath range. Oh, it might be okay. I had no clue how much I would enjoy wearing this. And then I thought, well, if I'm being honest, I've got to include it in the list, because it has absolute... I've only sort of been aware of this one for about a month, I think, but I've started making a bit of a dent in the bottle already. So it's got to be on the list. And it is from the brand... Gavin, are you ready for your Brian Blessed accent? It is from the brand To My Ships. And I have yet to work out whether the scent's name is Of the Gods or whether it's Polygonum. But I'm going to go with Polygonum. Now, what is this? It is, in many ways, a classic cologne. An extremely well done, really, really beautifully rendered classic cologne with... with all of the citruses intact, emphasis on the lemon, I think, and beautiful kind of scattering of rosemary and thyme, and something nutty, something chestnutty, that kind of starts taking you in the direction of Bedidas, Bedidas soap, Bedidas shower gel, not shower gel, Bedidas bubble bath. That's the words I was looking for. But most modern colognes, end up going really, really heavy with the musks, which is fine. That's not a problem, and you can do that very, very well. Celine did that very well not that long ago with their cologne Celeste. But I guess one of the reasons why I liked about this one was that this doesn't really go down that kind of laundry musk route. It doesn't turn into a kind of Alberto Morillas CK1 bomb, and actually becomes really beautifully soapy, almost like rosy soapy, but remains quite abstract as well. I mean, it's a scent that's quite difficult to figure out, and there is something so effortlessly uplifting about it. I should say that this was also composed by Céline Barrel. Did I say who the last one was composed by? Yes, I think I've said all of them. So this is by Céline Barrel, a perfumer whose name I wasn't really familiar with until she started making scents for Joseph Quatana. And she's obviously got a real affinity with these lighter notes because she sustains them over an extended period of time. This is a cologne that lasts and just keeps you smiling, keeps you floating on a cloud of citrusy air, and I just really love it, and it had to be included on the list. And incidentally as well, I can vouch for the enjoyableness and the quality of the shower gel that they've done to go with it, because it's really great too. Okay, so we are at the halfway point, and we need to get a move on because I've already been chattering away for 36 minutes. And so this is when I should say that you are watching episode 523 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube as always, and we are doing our top 10 perfumes of the year. At this point, I should say that if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do consider doing so. You should be able to then click on the little bell so that you get notifications of new videos. If you would like to find out how you can support my work, and thank you lots and lots for all of the people who have supported my work over the course of the last year. If you'd like to support it, you should be able to see a link to the to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. And if you're enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up because that really helps too. And you may want to consider reading my Substack as well. Some of the articles on there are behind a paywall, but there are quite a few free ones too. Okay, now let's do the one which isn't on the top 10, and it's not a sort of outlier as such, but I'm just mentioning it because it's a reissue, and I love it. I won't spray it, but I just wanted to give it a shout out. I reviewed this just a few weeks ago. It's Francis Kurkdjian's Absolue pour le Soir, which immediately became my favourite perfume from his brand when he released it back in 2010, but it didn't really find as much of an audience as it needed to in order... Oh, 12 pretty things, that's really kind. Thank you very much, I really appreciate that. Squeaky cap, yes, that was this one. It's not going to do it now, is it? Ah. Right next to the mic. This is when you wish we had some audio glitches. And it kind of slowly kept being more and more discontinued. It kind of kept going into more and more limited distribution, and then finally I think it vanished, and now it is back together with Absolue pour le Matin. In the UK it is currently exclusive to Selfridges, but I think it's now on the MFK website, and it's absolutely just as good as it was before. So this is the reissue of the year. Thank you very much. Leslie Corthell with Fragrant Gratitude. That's really kind. Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Rachel says, new to me this year and I love it. Ma Bête from Eris. I mean, Eris is such a strong brand. If you haven't tried Eris, you do need to check them out. Ula says, I finally sampled the Kurkdjian and I love it. Deliciously dirty. Sean says, everyone make sure to like the video, as long as you do actually like it. Let's help the algorithm. Thank you very much. Stephen says, at the risk of sounding like a stuck record, Nicolas Gourmands, have you tried them? No, it's just really difficult for me to try and get hold of them. I will do my best. I will do my best, and then maybe if I love them, they'll be on the 2025 list. We have got 5 to go. Let's do the one for which I don't have a full bottle. Not that that makes any difference. And this is the one which is the 2023 release. I could have included this brand's 2024 release because I was equally impressed with it, but I thought, okay, as this one was new to me this year, and as I do still kind of prefer it to the 2024 release, I'm going to include this one. It is from Eau De Boujee. It is their Gilded, composed by their in-house perfumer and co-founder, Pia Long. I love this stuff. And I think one of my first purchases, maybe of 2025, is to treat myself to a full bottle of it, because it's one of these ones where I want to be able to spray it more liberally than I can when I've got the 10 mils. Now, Love Gilded says flim flam. What flim flam film fan? Okay. This is, on the face of it, it's an incense scent, which already kind of makes it an easy sell for me, but not that, I'm not kind of saying that that's why it's on there, because it's an incense scent. The candle of this is gorgeous too, says Polish Cheap Car. What Pia has done here, I'm kind of retroactively speculating. I think she is sort of tried to do this very, very convincing incense composition, which brings this meditative quality to it, this kind of search for the divine, and all of that is intact. But she's also surrounded it with richness, almost with like a kind of bling richness. She's very much surrounded it with something that makes me think of this shirt. Usually I think incense compositions are surrounded with a sort of seriousness, a woody weightiness, and that's fine. I love that about them. I love that about Avignon. I love that about Andy Towers' Incense Extreme. But here it's like, Brian, New York, first live, Happy New Year. That's very, very, very kind, and a very, very Happy New Year to you. Thank you very much. It has a gold accord, says Nina Carney. Yes, it has something which very, very convincingly makes you think of all of the gold ornaments and the gold decor in, I don't know, like maybe in a Thai temple, or maybe in a Buddhist temple somewhere in Japan. And that contrast between the richness of the gold and the sort of meditative quality of the incense is just beautiful. And gilded is the most perfect name for it. You get the gold through, I think, florals. Something that makes you think of pear, something that makes you think of, I don't know, what else would I say? It's almost like honeysuckly, those sorts of florals. Really, really, really good work. The 2024 release, by the way, in case you're not aware, is called Inferno, and is also really fascinating. A really, really genuinely interesting, ballsy, brave take on florals. Spencer says, I'm wearing Avignon today. Love it during these moody in-between holiday days. Gavin says, no Chanel, Mal or Lutins. Well, they could pop up. We've got 4 to go. Or maybe you might want to check out the Substack if you are able to do so. Maria G says, really liked Chanel's Comet. Melerio from Ross & Ross. Harmonia from Anatole Le Breton. I don't know that last one. Is the clove note in Gilded very prominent, says Mariam. I wouldn't have said so. I mean, not very prominent. You do get a kind of warm spiciness coming through. Okay. 4 to go. What should we do next? Let's do another slightly strange one. Again, I was taken with this. This is by Maeve McCurtain, who a lot of people are saying is a perfumer that we should look out for, watch her output. And certainly on the strength of this, we absolutely should. This is from the UK-based brand Vyrao. Can you see their name on the cap? And this is their release for this year called Mamajuju. Now, we're not even going to get into the fact that it's meant to be one of these kind of crystal healing wellness type brands. I really, really am not particularly bothered about that. Apparently there's a crystal somewhere in here, neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. But it's a fascinating piece of work. Let's have a spray. Where are we? Come on. Right. Now this is... Let's pop this one on here. Is that going to work? Yes, I think that works. Oris says, wow, surprised to see this on the list. Yeah, well, I was surprised in a way by how much I enjoyed it. But it's out there. It's out there in the same way that the Akro is out there. It's got a kind of musty, again, maybe peaty, but damp, unlit corners type of... I think when I first reviewed it, I said that it reminded me in some ways of the original Bat from Zoologist. But it's got more heat than Bat, and I think it's more accessible than Bat. There's a green kind of vine-like note running through it. I think what I love about it is that it somehow smells very, very ancient. It smells like some kind of, what I would imagine some kind of pagan goddess would smell like. You know, the sort of pagan goddess figure that is really, really kind of curvaceous and buxom and sort of emerges from dry, cracked earth and kind of radiates fertility and fecundity, but is also really, really frightening and intimidating at the same time. You know, that kind of cross between Mother Nature and, you know, don't mess with me because I could eat you alive type vibe. It's got a real strength and frightening power to it, while being somehow very mothering and protective. I was really taken with it, and something witch-like as well, which I think is what's alluded to in the name. I mean, the connotations of the name, when I started looking into it, actually the connotations weren't all that great, and I thought, well, that's a bit of a shame that they've gone for a name like that. But maybe there's something I've missed about the name. Maybe there are connotations out there that are not necessarily as negative as I thought they would be. Oris Eros says, that's my vibe. Okay, well then you need to try this. Spencer says, I stepped away to get a tea. How dare you? Can someone tell me what we're talking about? This is Mamajuju from Vyrao. And Jeff says, Charlotte Tilbury is waiting for her spot here with her cosmic power. Well, Charlotte, if you're watching, darling, there are 3 to go. One of them could be yours. Floating Man says, hi Mr. P, I've just hijacked my husband's phone to say you're the best perfume reviewer on YouTube. Thank you. Why are you not allowed to watch me on your own phone or something? Not a fan of everybody else he listens to, but you're an exception. Oh, I see. Okay, Floating Woman. Right. Okay, I get it. Thank you very much. So it's normally him who watches it. Okay, that's very, very sweet. Thank you very much. Laminonsen says, sounds like the triple goddess maiden mother crone. Yes, absolutely. It's very much that kind of feel. Completely. Tina says, I like that description. It makes me want to try it, as long as it's nothing like YSL Libre, my worst purchase. I think I can safely predict that you will not think it's anything like YSL Libre. Gavin says, can Charlotte Tilbury have a special award for just being a lot? I think that award is unquestionably hers. Okay, 3 to go. Right. Another one by a female perfumer. This one I loved from the very first moment I smelt it, which I think was before the summer or maybe just after the summer. And I remember at the time thinking, ooh, I wonder if this is going to end up on my list. And sure enough, it has. It is from a brand that I've always been a big champion of since they launched. Even though maybe some of their releases in recent years, I thought, okay, well, you know, maybe not necessarily for me, but I do love this one. And it is Arquiste's Almond Suede, composed by the one and only Calice Becker. This one I've really enjoyed wearing in the last few days. I think, I really, really hope that Calice continues to make sense for the brand founder and creative director, Carlos Huber. Yay, Calice, says Jeff Sheen. Over pathetic. Why over pathetic? Says, tuning in from Oman. You're very, very welcome. The most photorealistic almond, says Nina Khani. Yes, it is, but there is so much more going on here. Now, the almond note at the beginning, that kind of cyanide note, is really quite sharp, really quite strident. And you think, whoa, am I going to be able to take this? But as you wear it, you get orange blossom, you get candied sweets, you get leather, you get suede, you get smoke, you get a woodiness. It's really, really, really faceted. And I just love the fact that it takes its inspiration from the more positive aspects of a historical Moorish Spain. I know that you know, probably nothing was ever perfect, and if we were to do more research into Moorish Spain, we may find out that there were sort of darker sides to this idea of everything being this beautiful melting pot of cultures. But it's the beautiful melting pot of cultures idea that Calice and Carlos have tried to express here, and they do it really, really well. And Madame Persolaise has enjoyed smelling this one on me as well. This just sounds like Dame Blonde, says Gavin. Oh, I'd have to re-smell that one. I don't remember that one very well. Arquiste with something special since quite some time, says Gerard, and also do check out their Venice Rococo. Gichunk says, the best almond is to me by Uncle Serge, Douce Amère and Louvre, and Nikolai made one too called Kiss Me. Alex says almond cyanide reminds me of poison. Well, yeah, that's the kind of idea that Hypnotic Poison played with as well. How sweet is this, says Power Connection. It does definitely have a sweet aspect to it, but I think the bitterness of the almond cuts through it quite well. Okay, we've got 2 to go. We need to get a move on. This is from Monsieur Quentin Biche, who has had a very, very busy year this year, probably busier than ever. I mean, he seems to be popping up all over the place. And as ever, I was impressed with many of the pieces of work that he gave us. But the release of his that has ended up on the list is, you can probably guess, it's what he made for Marc-Antoine Barrois. It's their, can you see that? It's their Tilia, which marked a kind of departure from their strange, cosmic, metallic, weird leathers, and was them deciding to go for a floral note. The little red neck on the cap is an indication that this is a kind of slightly different range in their brand. Now, you know, we say it's a floral, but it's still very, very Marc-Antoine Barrois. It's still quite out there. Thomas says, I think it's so much more elegant than the others from the brand. Musk in Heaven says, Tilia grew on me, very nice. This is lovely, says Polish Cheap Car. For me, Tilia smells like sweat, says Kat. Maybe it's the linden feel that's making you do that. It's very linden mimosa, says Gavin. Yes, it really is. And I think it actually shows Quentin Biche doing something different. That base, you know, his beloved Akigala wood patchouli base is there, but it's very definitely toned down, and the flowers are allowed to take centre stage. And the Marc-Antoine Barrois and Quentin made it because they actually wanted to create a kind of bridge building, peace spreading, feel good scent, and I think they've achieved it. I love the kind of green piney facet that comes in. There's something peppery about it, sort of jasmine inflection in there too. Tilia annoys me a bit, says Oriana. It's like Tilleul, which is linden, isn't it, from Le Galion, but not as good. Both from Quentin, with the other one released 2 years earlier. Ah, interesting point. Okay. This is very ambroxan heavy to me, says Aria. Brian New York says, for linden, I bought Penhaligon's High Grove Bouquet. Interesting. I prefer IA033 for linden blossom, says Tina. I don't know that one. You need to tell me about that one. Stephen says, I find the linden note just a bit too polleny and sharp for my taste, but it's certainly an interesting and well-crafted scent. And Nina says, Tilia is like metallic flowers heating on a post-apocalyptic planet Earth. There is still something quite astronomical, space age about it, in keeping with the brand's overall feeling. And number 10. This one is also one that took me a little bit by surprise, because when I first heard about the brand and I heard what their overall concept is, I confess I did think to myself, really? Okay, how are you going to live up to that? How are you not going to just open yourself up to a bit of ridicule? But I think they've certainly pulled it off with this scent. They launched this year. They're a UK-based brand, and they launched their debut trio. The only thing that is a little bit annoying is that we don't know who the perfumer is for this one, but I've received enough hints to start to believe that there's some kind of good reason why we don't know who the perfumer is, and maybe the perfumer simply can't be revealed. Anyway, Charlotte is here, I'm sure, says Gavin. This is from the brand Jouissance, and it's their La Bague D'O. If you haven't got their sample set, their discovery set, please do, because 2 out of the 3 that are on there are absolute must-tries. Jeff says, no Chanel, no Frederic Malle, no Tom Ford, no Dior, shock horror. Well, maybe they should have just tried a little bit harder this year. You know what I'm saying? This is the top 10, folks. Which of those from the which from those brands would you have included, Jeff? Anyway, prepare for me to start blushing, because this is filth. This is real filth. But it's so good. I mean, when I first reviewed it, I talk about, you know, the Madame de Merteuil from Dangerous Liaisons inviting you to an orgy, and there's you know, the extras from Eyes Wide Shut, and there's red velvet drapes and incense burning and scented candles, and everything is excess, and Goblin Market, like Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market. If you've never read Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market, read that. That gives you a sense of how this poem operates. It's a sort of, it's a rose, I suppose, at its heart, but it's really spicy and really animalic and really powdery, and woody and clovey and nutmeggy, and it's just excess, and it's dripping with sensuality, and is really, really well done. And I hope one day we get to find out who the perfumer is, because I would really, really, really love to know who made it. So, Perfume by the Sea says, Jouissance has been on my list, or to try lists in summer. I adore the little tote bags they sell too. They are small book bags with rude suggestions. I didn't know that, but that sounds genius. Filth but glorious, says Jeff. Absolutely. Is it Baroque dirty like Bal à Versailles, says Alex? To some extent. You need to try it. Carl says, Un bel amour d'été, honourable mention for Parfum d'Empire. Absolutely. And the honourable mentions are on the Substack, and the Substack post will go live in 3 minutes precisely. So, thank you again for everything. Thank you for letting us have another enjoyable year of perfume chat and perfume witticism and lots of great smelling. However you decide to see in the new year, hope it's enjoyable, and I wish you nothing but peace and good health and lots of laughter and tons of beautiful perfumes for 2025. Hopefully we will all be able to do this again in 12 months. Until then, I just need to line up the mouse pointer. Until then, thanks again, be good, and I will see you soon. Bye now, and Happy New Year.